So we are live. Can we start?
Yes, we can start.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Facebook Live from Dr. Makkar's Diabetes and Obesity Center. I'm Dr. Kirti Soota.
Hello, everyone. Dr. Makkar here. Welcome to this Facebook Live once again.
So, coming to the topic of today's session, diabetic diet is the best diet. Is it so? So, let's get the answer today. Whenever a person is diagnosed with diabetes, the first question that comes into the mind is about dietary restrictions. Is it so scary? No, dear friends, it's not true. The reality is now it's the time to come back to the normal, to bring the lifestyle back to the normal. Whether you are trying to prevent or control diabetes, the nutritional needs are virtually the same as everyone else. So, no special foods are necessary. But yes, we need to pay attention to the food choices. A diabetic diet doesn't have to be a complicated one, and you don't have to give up all your favorite foods. So, we proceed, before we talk about the diet, we need to know a little about what is diabetes and how does the food that we eat affect our sugar levels. And to give the answer, we have Dr. Makkar with us. So we would like to know about diabetes and about the food, what we are eating, its effect on the blood sugar levels.
So first, this is very important to understand, how does body handle food and how does it impact the blood sugar levels. So, in a very general understanding, whatever food is consumed, basically, why do we need food? We need food, one, to provide energy for day-to-day functioning of the body. Second, to provide energy for the various metabolic processes happening in the body. Third, to maintain the repairs of the tissues in the body. So for repair, you need protein. And for the energy, you need glucose or fatty acids. The most important fuel that is consumed, that is used as energy, is glucose. So whatever food we consume, directly or indirectly gets converted into glucose. And the glucose levels are maintained in a narrow range in a normal healthy individual by the regulatory mechanisms controlled by number of hormones, of which the principal hormone is insulin. Now, insulin maintains glucose in normal range, and there are counter-regulatory hormones which regulate insulin levels also. So, if insulin, the glucose levels are going low, the insulin secretion will decrease to make sure that glucose doesn't go very low. So, it is maintained in a normal range. And it is maintained in a normal range, one, by the glucose production from the food consumed, and this is balanced by the utilization of glucose from blood by various tissues. So on one side you have input, other side you have output. As long as this is being balanced, your sugar levels remain normal. Now to utilize this glucose and fatty acids, you need insulin, which is the hormone which regulates the utilization of energy. If there is deficiency of insulin, or there is resistance to action of insulin, this glucose cannot be utilized. And that is why the glucose levels start increasing in the blood. Now, in a diabetes patient, whatever person eats, it will lead to increase in glucose levels because the regulatory mechanism is not working properly. So people will come and say, sir, I am not taking any sugars, I am not eating, but my sugar is still high. So they have to understand whatever they are eating, it is ultimately getting converted to sugar and it is not being utilized, so it will remain high. Now, if a normal person eats, lots of food, lots of sugar, still the sugar levels remain normal because the body's auto-regulatory mechanism is functioning. This is the difference between diabetes and non-diabetes individual. Now, in a non-diabetic individual, now what we are doing is we are giving medications or insulin to make sure that whatever glucose is being generated from the food intake is utilized by the various tissues. So either by reducing the resistance to action of insulin that is produced in body, or by increasing the insulin secretion in body, or by providing insulin from outside, we are able to utilize that glucose that is being generated from body. Now, in a normal individual, there is a auto-regulation. Suppose X amount of glucose is produced in response to food, this X amount is neutralized by, say, Y amount of insulin, and it remains normal. So if there is X plus 10 consumed, the Y plus 10 insulin will come and neutralize it. But when we are giving medication from outside, we cannot vary the control of the glucose, because somebody is consuming 100 grams of carbohydrates, and we have tried to control the glucose by providing, say, X amount of medication. Now this person, whenever consumes more than 100 grams, this medicine is not sufficient to bring down glucose produced by more than 100 grams. So person will get high sugars. If person does not consume the 100 grams of carbs, consumes less, now this medication is basically balanced by 100 grams of carbs. So it will push the sugar levels low, and that is why people can get into low sugar levels. So that is why it is very important to balance the intake of calories by the amount of medication that is provided. Because the auto-regulation, automatic system of regulation of glucose is not working. And that is the main difference. And that is why the diet focus is required, right? If we do not regulate diet, we don't know how much glucose will be produced, and we don't know how much medication will be required for this person. So this is very broad generalization that I'm telling you. That is the basic thing. But whatever food is consumed by, whether it is diabetes individual or non-diabetes individual, ultimately will get converted into glucose, and if there is surplus glucose, it will get converted to fatty acids and stored as fat.
So, sir, now my first question to you will be regarding what do you mean by diabetic diet?
So generally, the perception is that most of the time person with diabetes will come to you, they will say, no, I am not eating sugar, I am not eating potatoes, I am not eating rice. So basically, perception is that all diets that have high carbohydrates will lead to increase in sugar levels. And to some extent, it is correct, right? Because you are providing excess carbs, which is going to provide free sugars. If you are giving complex carbs, high fibers, the conversion to sugar is slower. So a diabetic diet basically should be one which does not provide you free sugars. You can't do without providing calories to a person with diabetes. The caloric requirement of that person is same as a person without diabetes. Ultimately, the body has to function, and the amount of caloric requirement for a, say, 60 kilos individual with diabetes or without diabetes will remain same. Now the difference is that person who does not have diabetes is able to utilize whatever calories he is taking. The person with diabetes, if we are providing him X amount of calories, then we have to make sure that it is balanced by the Y amount of medication. Second thing, if there is faster amount of glucose absorption, then there is a sharper increase in glucose levels. So that is why we want that person should take complex carbs, which are preferable, rather than free sugars, and a balanced diet, which can be easily balanced by the medication. Now, in a normal individual, the minute there is an increase in glucose level, body senses those signals and immediately provides insulin to control that. When we are giving medication from outside, if there is a sharp increase in glucose, we may not be able to bring down the glucose so rapidly, because ultimately whatever medication we are going to give is going to take some time to act. It is not that you have popped a pill and the action starts. It will go down the stomach, it will get dissolved and then get absorbed. And once the blood levels go up, then it will bring down glucose. So it needs some time. It is not an instant effect. Now we are getting better and better medications. We have insulins which act almost instantly. In 7-8 minutes, the action starts. Earlier, we didn't have that. So matching the glucose rise with the medication becomes a challenge in patients with diabetes. And in non-diabetes patients, it is not a challenge. So a diabetic diet basically should provide same amount of calories, but in the form of foods which do not give you a sharper increase in glucose levels.
And
That is the only difference. Second thing is, it has to be a portion control diet. So we give you we usually give a planned diet to diabetes patients with the calculated portion size, which person is taking on day-to-day basis, is matched with the amount of medication that is being given. A non-diabetes person can eat extra without disturbing sugar levels. But a non-diabetes person with diabetes, if he or she eats extra, then it cannot be balanced by the same amount of medication. So medication needs to be modified, and which may not be feasible with all the medications available. So that is the major difference. Otherwise, whether it is diabetes patient or it is person without diabetes, everybody needs carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Carbohydrates and fats will provide calories. Protein will provide the repair for tissues, and for substrate for formation of enzymes and essential amino acids and fatty acids and minerals and vitamins. Everything is same. Only thing is we want to modify that diet a little bit so that we give you calculated calories, which is balanced by the medication, and it does not give a sharper increase in glucose. Otherwise, everything is same.
So, sir, my next question to you is, what is a healthy diet?
So healthy diet is which provides you the adequate proportions of carbohydrates, fats, proteins, minerals, and vitamins. That is a healthy diet. It does, if you are consuming excess calories, it will add to weight gain. It is not healthy. If you are consuming too much fat, you may end up with the cholesterol disturbances and atherosclerosis. It is not healthy. If you are, going totally haywire with the diet, irregular time eating, again, it can help, have a bad effect on health. So a healthy diet is which has the appropriate recommended allowances for carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. These are the macronutrients and the micronutrients, which are minerals, vitamins, and so on. And that is the healthy diet for any normal individual or a person with diabetes. It is same.
So, sir, I think there's no need to worry about if we say you have to follow a diabetic diet.
So I think if somebody follows a diabetic diet, what is a diabetic diet? What I told you is that you should give, a calculated amount of calories, which is the daily requirement for that person, with appropriate or adequate portions of carbs, proteins, and fats. And you have used more complex carbs. So more complex carbs means that you have more of fiber in diet. Fiber is all complex carbs. So they take time for breakdown and providing glucose. Okay. So complex carbs are better than, the free carbs, which is sugar or sugar drinks. So you are giving complex carbs, you are giving the daily requirement of protein, daily requirement of fat, adequate minerals and vitamins. This is what is required for a diabetic person. Now, normal person thinks that I can eat anything and everything. That is not a healthy diet. Suppose my requirement is 1600 calories a day, or a sedentary person requires maybe 1500 calories a day, and I consume say 2000 calories a day. It may not disturb my sugar level, but it will start adding my weight. Gradually I will develop insulin resistance. Gradually I'll start getting predisposed to sugar disturbances, blood sugar, diabetes, blood pressure, dyslipidemia, cholesterol issues, heart disease, all the risk levels will start going increasing. But if I am consuming the same diet that I am recommending for a diabetic patient, that don't consume free sugars, or if you want sugar, it should be small amounts. Don't take excess fat. Don't take what we tell to diabetes patients. Don't take free sugars. Don't take excess fat. Eat on time. Eat in moderation and maintain your portion size. Don't miss your meals. This is a healthy eating behavior. If this is done by a normal individual, 90% of the health issues will be taken care. Most of the diseases of adult life are related to dietary irregulations, irregular diets or unhealthy diets, and lack of exercise. If somebody is having a healthy diet, which has what I mentioned, adequate proteins, minerals, vitamins, greens, fruits, everybody thinks, juice is a great thing. It provides nutrition. It provides you free sugar. It provides you instant calories. And it does not give you a sensation of being full. So if you are taking a glass of orange juice, you are consuming 3 oranges or maybe 4 oranges. So you are consuming extra calories and you are throwing out fiber. Instead, if you consume 2 oranges, you will consume half the calories. You will have all the minerals, vitamins, and fiber that is there with the orange. You will feel full and you will eat less subsequently. So you have to understand that a healthy diet is good for anybody. And what we recommend to diabetes patients is a very, very healthy diet. If a normal individual starts taking that diet, I can bet the health status is going to improve.
So you were talking about the importance of portion control, the regularity in the meal, the consistency, what we need to maintain. So is it not required for a healthy person? And
It is very much required for a healthy person. So somebody is eating, suppose you like the, whatever food is cooked. You eat 4 chapatis. Other day normally you would eat only 2. And every day you are eating, something extra outside also. What are you doing? You are adding calories. So studies have shown that an excess of only 10 to 12 calories per day. 10 to 12 calories is, if it is to be explained, it is one potato chip, single potato chip. If you consume extra on daily basis, you end up gaining 1 kilo every year. That is how good is the body's regulatory system. And body has a tendency to store more than to lose more. So if you have overconsumption of calories, it is very good chance that you will tend to gain weight. But if you want to lose weight, it will not happen the same way. So if you are consuming, say, 10 potato chips every day, which is equal to 100 or 125 calories, the average weight gain at the end of year is about 5 kg. But if you reduce your calorie intake by 100 calories every day, you tend to lose only 3 kgs in a year. You don't lose 5 kg. So body is always on the plus side. The God-given system is such that it will never kind of, go on the negative side. It will try to conserve whatever it is, whatever you have. So even in famine time, people don't end up at zero weight because body starts functioning in a different manner, stores more calories than spend calories. So that is how the system works. So every excess calorie is going to end up in, positive side of weight and ultimately lead to a poorer health, status. So portion control, healthy eating pattern, all these things are very important.
so, sir, if we talk about a diet for diabetes, so what, according to you, is the best diet for diabetic patient?
So best diet is whatever is cooked at home, unless it is cooked like a halwai shop. People still consume a lot of ghee and oil and butter. So if that they consider is normal diet, it is not normal for anybody. So normal home cooked food, or if you go and have a look at what was the traditional Indian cooking, that is the healthy diet. So people used to cook the dry vegetables in mustard oil. All the gravy vegetables or curried vegetables were cooked in groundnut oil, and ghee or butter was applied only on chapati or bread, whatever, right? And one time breakfast used to be bread with butter or whatever, and some vegetable which was left over from the night. No fresh thing was cooked. Daytime was usually dry vegetable with chapati, and nighttime was dal, which gives you protein, and maybe one vegetable cooked in oil. So there is distribution of different fats. There is distribution of carbs and proteins and vegetables. And raw vegetables and fruits were common, eaten in plenty. Now you see most of the people don't eat salad. Most of the people are not eating adequate fruit, though it may be expensive. But you can eat seasonal fruit, seasonal vegetables, which are cheaper, and they are as good as anything for health, any other expensive vegetable. People are more focused on consuming walnuts and almonds, and they think that will give health. It is as good as having peanuts. Does not matter. So you don't need to go for expensive food choices. Best is consume whatever is available in that season, and make sure that you don't overeat, you eat on time, and you have an appropriate distribution of different food choices.
So I have a question. Is there any such thing as a best kind of diet like Mediterranean, Indian, keto, or?
So, traditional Indian diet, basically, it is in India that you have so much of variety of bread which is cooked from wheat flour. Worldwide, you don't get so much variety of, breads. But if you look at the Mediterranean diet is a lot of greens, fruits, olive oil, nuts. That's a focus, and lean meat. We are a vegetarian population, so most of the people don't eat meat, and then they consume some of the milk products. So in India, the traditional diet was also consuming a lot of vegetables. People, if you try to analyze 20 years back, people would eat whatever raw vegetables were there as salad. It was common to have something like gajar, mooli, tomato in salad, which you hardly see now in routine eating. So those things, ultimately you have to balance it. And as we say, the healthy plate concept. So 1/4 of your plate should be salads and green vegetables or fruit. 1/4 should be dal and no, half the plate should be fruits and vegetables. 1/4 should be the dal or protein source, and 1/4 should be the carbohydrates. That and oil should be small amounts. So this is how the diet should be balanced, and free sugar should be avoided, basically.
So, what factors we need to consider if we are planning a diet for a diabetic patient?
So said, as I said in the initial part of my discussion, a normal diet cooked at home, without excess fat in cooking, and without free sugars. That's it.
That is according to your customs. Whatever you people eat, you can go for it. And there's no such as such fancy ki ye khana hai, ye nahi khana.
No,
Everything is allowed.
If that is the scenario, then every North Indian will have to eat South Indian food, and South Indian people will have to eat North Indian food. Then that is how it will change. So every culture, every part of India has different eating pattern, eating behavior. Now you cannot tell them to change their cultural background or their food preferences. Only thing is, make sure you cut down the intake of fat, cut down the intake of free sugars, and take adequate amount of greens, and and eat on time, and make sure that you don't overeat or undereat. both ways.
So, what food options they have to be avoided if you are a diabetic?
So there is nothing which is to be totally avoided. There is nothing which is going to kill a diabetic patient if it is eaten, unless it is a poisonous substance, right? So once in a while, if suppose somebody has taken, say, half glass of a juice or a soft drink, what will happen? The sugar level will go up, it will come down. But if you are doing it daily, then it will disturb your sugar levels grossly. If you are maintaining a healthy eating pattern and you want to have a cup of tea with half spoon of sugar, it is not going to change your sugar levels drastically. But if you want to have 5 cups of sugar with 2 spoons of sugar in each cup, it will set your sugars haywire. If you want to eat, if you want to have a vegetable which has some pieces of potatoes also, it is not going to kill your sugar levels. But if you want to just have, everything full of potatoes only and nothing else, then it will change your sugar levels badly. If you want to eat mangoes, mango is the most common question. Sir, can I eat mango? So there is no problem if you are eating a slice of mango, and preferably eat it after your regular food. So already there is fiber, there are other ingredients in stomach, and they will cut down the absorption of glucose from mango or for whatever fruit you are eating. But if you are consuming 2 mangoes in one go, then you are adding a lot of calories. Then your sugars will go up, right? So somebody wants to have normally people will have tea. They will tea means that they will have a glass of milk and put tea leaves and it becomes tea. So milk has free sugar, lot of sugar. So if somebody is consuming tea with small amount of milk or black tea and adding half spoon of sugar, is not going to cause any problem. But if you are adding tea leaves to a glass of milk and then you want to add sugar also, it will certainly disturb the sugar levels. If you want to eat rice, we know that rice has all free carbs. It can increase your sugar levels. So mix it with, that day you take dal which is whole dal rather than shelled one. So chilke wali dal mein there is lot of fiber. Second thing is dal has lot of protein. So it will bring down the absorption of glucose from whatever they are. Or mix up your rice with lot of green vegetables. So you bring down the glucose absorption from rice. So there is nothing which is, totally prohibited. You have to understand what you are doing and make minor modifications. And it is a normal healthy diet. That's it.
So basically, what we are trying to say is if you are planning a diet for a diabetic patient at home, it need not have to be a different one. It's just what you cook at home. Just we need to have slight modifications in the diet, cooking pattern basically.
Yes. And there is standard, there's nothing big. Cut down the oil, make sure you use minimum oils, and make sure, you are not overeating most of the time. That's it.
So my next question to you is, ki diet, what we people are consuming, I mean to say these days, is it a healthy one?
Do you think so?
I want to answer from you, sir. I want to answer for my audience.
Depends on people, what they are taking. There are good
So
people.
let's
There are
talk
a lot of
about.
people who are becoming health conscious now. But what we see is that it is usually the upper middle class who's becoming more conscious of diet, and they are also going for more of fat diets. They are looking for superfoods. They are looking for things which are not easy to find. So there is always craze for things that are they have kind of uniqueness about them, and they have some tagging with them, and they are part of new or trend or something. I don't think it makes much difference. As I said, whether you want to eat walnuts or you want to eat almonds or you want to eat cashews, as long as you are consuming only 30 grams or less, it is okay. More than that, that is also going to add calories to your food and add to weight. Only thing, they have good quality fatty acids. So does peanut have. Peanut is also very good source of protein, good source of vegetable oils, and it costs maybe 1/10 of the price, right? So, but the important thing is that does that mean that you can have a pack of peanuts every day? The answer is no. 30 grams of peanuts or any of the nuts gives you 200 calories. And if you are supposed to take only 1,500 calories, then you have taken almost 15% of your calories from a small, portion of nuts. So you have to balance the diet. The people are running after, various foods, seeds, and so on. As long as you are eating a normal, easily available, seasonal food, normally cooked at home, without much of oil, without free sugars, that is the best diet for anybody. Have seasonal fruits. Nature has created, nature does not give you, fresh apples in summers and fresh melons in winter. Summer is the time when you need, more of water, and you will get all kinds of fruits which are full of water. Winter is the time when you get fruits with calories or dense, which don't have much juice. So that's how nature distributes things. Similarly, the vegetables change. So whatever is seasonal, take that. It costs less. It goes with the nature's own system of, food distribution, and it is healthy. And don't overeat. And always, one important thing is one should always keep track of one's body weight. If you are not gaining body weight, you are stable, it is okay. If you are gaining weight, make sure that your diet is, going wrong somewhere and you have to correct.
Either your diet is going wrong or your exercise is not up to the mark.
So
Something is wrong somewhere.
exercise and diet are two important things to maintain normal health. And I think right from the times when Rishi Munis were there, and what they used to eat,
Kandmul.
kandmul. So
Yes.
kandmul is basically roots and fruits and fibers.
Yes, yes. So what's your take on bakery products? It's very common. Chai ke sath do biscuit khaye, do fan kha liye,
So
cake
as
kha
long
liya.
as you are conscious of how many calories you are taking with them, taking from these bakery products, it is okay. So most of the bakery products have high amount of fat, and of course carbs are there, and the fiber amount is less. Now even the those biscuits with the labeling that
High
they are
fiber
healthy
jaggery.
and more fiber, the higher is the fiber amount, you will see there is higher amount of fat also, because otherwise that biscuit doesn't work or taste goes down. So to keep it palatable, they put more fat also, and they so you have to know how much calories you are taking. So suppose you are taking a biscuit, something called a Nutri Choice. It gives you, I think, about 80 calories, one biscuit, 80 or 100 calories, equal to one chapati. So you should know what you are eating and how much you are, how much you need to compensate in your total eating pattern.
Basically, sir, what I tell my patients is learn to read the labels. You should know what you're eating, know your food basically. So
And no, but labels are there only on the branded products. So you go to a nice fancy bakery and you want butter cookies. There is no label.
yes,
And it is saturated fat.
yes.
And every cookie is giving you about 80 calories. So if you are having a cup of tea with half spoon of sugar, or maybe you are using a sweetener for this tea because you don't want calories, but you are consuming 80 calories on the side, while half a spoon of sugar and a small amount of milk in a cup of tea will give you only 30 calories. So that is how the calories get added up.
So I have a question. What should be taken and avoided in non-vegetarian diet?
So non-vegetarian diet, means, first thing is, what do we mean by non-vegetarian diet?
Maybe he wants to know about
So
the type of meat.
people who are taking only eggs, they also consider, vegetarian is a system in India.
Mhm.
So if you are consuming eggs, usually one egg a day, not more than one egg, full egg a day is there, is recommended, because the yolk has cholesterol. Ideally, you can have, actually, alternate day you can have a full egg, and you can have egg whites. You can have 2 egg whites, 3 egg whites, 4 egg whites a day. It doesn't cause any problem. But the yolk is to be avoided. So at best, not more than one full egg every day, but egg whites as many as you want. Uh, then is the non-vegetarian. So lean meat, which is chicken, fish, is any day better than the red meat. But important thing is how much you want to eat. So if you are eating lean meat and you have cooked it or grilled it, or just steamed it or cooked it with small amount of oil, no problem, you can have it. A diabetic patient, you have to control portion size. You have to talk to dietitian how much is allowed per meal of the non-veg component. But if you are converting chicken into butter chicken, then it is no more protein. It is full of fat. So depends on how you are eating, what you are eating. Red meat has more of fat, so it should be taken in lesser amounts and on lesser frequency. But there is no strict rule that you should not be eating red meat. There is no problem. One can eat.
So, sir, if I take my next question as if what is a healthy, balanced diet for a diabetic, and how is it different from a normal diet?
So first thing is, we have to define what is normal diet. So normal diet perception is that whatever you want to eat, you
Yes.
eat. That is not normal. Normal diet is that you take the adequate amount of carbs, proteins, and fats distributed in a ratio of what, 50 to 55% carbs, about 15 to 20% fat, and another 20% protein. Right? If that distribution is maintained, and if you are eating sufficient amount to maintain a healthy body weight, then this is healthy diet, normal diet. But if you are consuming all kinds of excess fat or free sugars, or drinking 2 bottles of Coke every day, and you think that is normal because you don't have diabetes, it is not done normal diet. Sooner or later you are going to go towards diabetes or high blood pressure or something. So what I said is a normal healthy diet. That is what is diabetes diet. Only thing is, a diabetic person with diabetes cannot vary his portion intake on very frequent basis, while a person without diabetes can vary the portion size, and it doesn't immediately change the metabolism. While in a diabetes person, the change in portion size or the ingredients, for that matter, you consume very high carbs on particular day or high fat on particular day, that particular day only the glucose levels will get disturbed. While in a normal individual, they will not get disturbed. But that is not normal diet. Only thing is, now, even to the abnormal diet, since the person's body metabolism is working in an automatic fashion, so it is getting managing that. But those repeated insults will ultimately disturb that metabolism. And sooner or later, person will get into a deranged metabolism.
So, sir, hence what the topic of the day was is proved कि what diet we suggest to a diabetic patient is the best diet. And as such, there is no special diabetic diet.
Yes. So I tell all my patients, in fact, I tell, if the patient's relations or attendants or family members are there, I always suggest them that actually the same diet should be consumed by everybody. Everybody's health will improve. You look at people who come with diabetes or overweight. Everybody in the family is overweight, even without they are not having diabetes, and they are waiting for diabetes to happen. So if the whole family eats healthy diet, everybody's health improves. And it should not happen that somebody has got diabetes, now you have to cook separately in the kitchen for that person. It is not required. Only thing is you have to make minor modification, and those minor modifications are actually good for anybody's health. So I wouldn't say it is diabetic diet. It is a healthy diet which should be consumed by everyone. Only thing is a person without diabetes can make, variations easily, while a person with diabetes will not respond comfortably to the changes in those diet. But a healthy diet is a healthy diet, and a diabetes individual should be provided a healthy diet. That's it.
Sir, anything you would like to add more to today's session?
So I think that notion of that somebody has diabetes should not eat potatoes, should not eat rice, should not eat should not consume touch sugar, should not. Uh, some people will say, "Sir, मैं थोड़ा सा गुड़ खा लेता हूँ रात को." So अगर थोड़ा सा मतलब 2-4 ग्राम का गुड़ उसने खा लिया तो 4 ग्राम में 16 कैलोरीज हैं टोटल. It's only 16 calories. It is not going to disturb the sugar levels. But if somebody is consuming 100 calories as sugar, yes, it is going to disturb. Right? So for taste, you can add sugar, you can add fat, but don't consume those as source of calories. That is the only thing that has to be kept in mind. So a person with diabetes can consume potatoes, can consume rice, can consume sugar, can consume everything, provided it's in the healthy proportion. It is not in excess, and it is balanced by the adequate medication to make sure the glucose levels are under control. That's it. And excess of these things is not good for anybody. Why do you call a child who's overweight a couch potato? Because potato is connected with the excess weight, right? So excess potato consumption is not good for anybody. If you are consuming rice 3 times a day and you are not consuming any greens with that, ultimately it is going to cause problem. So even where the rice is staple food, most of the states where rice is staple food, what is rice eaten with? Bengal, Odisha, it is fish. So you add protein, cuts down the sugar absorption. You eat sambar, you are putting dal. And sambar, if you see the conventional sambar, it has a lot of vegetable.
Loaded with veggies.
So you cut down the absorption of carbs. So you have to, look at the traditional eating. Just don't look at one ingredient. The whole system of eating should be balanced.
Great, sir. So that brings to the end of the session. Thank you everyone for joining. Hope you all enjoyed today's talk.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Hope we have been able to clarify some of the confusions. And if you have some queries, always you can post at our Facebook page. Thank you.
Thank you.